Today I'm talking about brute force. Brute force is probably the name of my biography, if I ever write it one day. It's a term that means to just go at it, to keep going, to push through. I heard earlier, I think Ken and also Yevgeny both mentioned that the key is to not stop. And I'm definitely not smarter than anyone here, probably less smart than most people here. I have probably the lowest education in this room. I'm a high school graduate. I don't have resources, I don't have rich parents, but what I've had is I've done it, and I push. Personally, I love AI. I like machine learning. I like AIGC. I have a question. Does anybody understand how machine learning works? Raise your hand if you understand how machine learning works. All right, about 4% of you. So the way you train a machine learning algorithm is you give it a task, and then you have it attempt that task, and then it reviews its results. So for example, the background here is my first AI image that I made, which was from an algorithm, I think 3 years ago, that was horrible. But what it does is it has this idea of trying to create art. This is the algorithm, and so it has an image of a cat, and then you tell it, just go for it. Try and make a cat. Do anything. And really, it does anything. Like if you look here, I told it to make a Polish artist doing calligraphy. So it just tried. It threw random pixels at the page, and then it looks at it, and it reviews it. And it's like, okay, I'm very, very far from that. And so then it tries something else. And then it looks at it again and says, okay, I'm still far, but I'm getting closer. And then it tries and it tries and it tries and it tries millions of times, billions of times, trillions of times. And its tries are, it's like me, it's just like throwing things randomly in the dark. It has no concept of what it's doing, but because it tries so many times, and because it has the ability to honestly review itself, AI image algorithms have gone from that now to this. So you can see that happen in 3 years of time of development, that it went from basically nothing to creating beautiful near real world. And this is even the newest. This was like 3 months ago, so it's probably 100 times better since then. But there's a problem with this strategy. Another AI term is convergence. So what convergence means is when you keep trying and your result isn't getting any better. So you need to keep trying, and you need to try again. You need to be ready to fail, as everybody up here today it's failed so many times. But you need to know when it's not working. So when you really keep doing the same thing and you look, and I'm not getting any better. And so what that means is that your underlying algorithm, potentially who you are as a person, or the way you think. And I don't mean that any of you suck. It's about how you think sometimes. So there's people in their lives who really try, and they just keep trying and going again and again and again, and they keep failing. Like there's people who just, every time I work with somebody, my partner's an asshole. And it never works out because that guy's an asshole. So they like abandon that partner and they find a new partner. And it's like, oh my God, I found another asshole. And I heard somebody say, when somebody said exactly that, and they said, if every time you meet somebody, they're an asshole, maybe you're the asshole. So that's the last thing of my overall guidance of what you want to do. You want to try and try, but you want to change, and you want to be smart, and you want to push yourself, and you want to be critical, and you want to have a journey, and you want to enjoy that journey. This actually is a special failure of mine. They're all special. I arrange them neatly in my mind for me to look at when I can't sleep at night. I decided hitchhiking would be a good idea. I don't know, I thought I was in the 70s, the summer of love, but people don't love to pitch up hitchhikers. I failed hard. I was there all day and it was getting dark out. and I thought I was gonna sleep in the woods. I was like looking in the trees beside me, like, where is the place least likely to find a bear? When somebody pulled over, randomly at the final hour, I was like packing up my stuff, getting ready to leave, and they were going exactly where I was going, which was crazy. The like one or two people who stopped and asked me, and I was like, I'm going to Kaslo. And they're like, okay, that's a city of like 500 people, and you're very far away. The chances of you meeting someone going there is very slim. But somebody picked me up, and they were going there. And this is such a crazy thing. I'm in the car talking with them, and I'm like, oh yeah, I live in China. And they're like, where? My mom lives in China. And I'm like, Hangzhou. And they're like, my mom lives in Hangzhou. She has a fashion company called JAC. It was Rosemarie's daughter who picked me up and saved my life potentially from getting eaten by a bear. So that failure was worth it. Again, of my story of having bad partners or just being a bad person or a dumb person, this was maybe my first real attempt at a startup. In high school, I wanted to be Rosemarie, and I started up my own fashion company with my friend, this artist, Fraser. I had this amazing idea, I planned it out, I knew how we would set up shops, I knew how we would customize clothing, all of these things, took it to a business summer camp, and I won $1,000 at the end of business camp. And I was like, this is it, this is gonna be like the next big brand. And I was like, started calculating in my head. I was like, if we're making millions and billions, and then I was like, oh, but my partner, that artist, we're 50-50. And so I took the $1,000 I got from winning that summer business camp, and I was like, I'm gonna buy you out. And I gave it all to him, and he was like, okay, like, I think he was hurt because we were friends, and he was like, you don't want to work with me? But he took it because it was $1,000 and we were kids. And then I had like nothing. I had a company, but the artist and the creative and the creator of it was gone. And it was just me, useless me. So I failed. It was a hard failure, and it was an early failure, but then I learned. And I learned, okay, actually, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And now I take that to heart. Like Jack Ma has like single-digit percentages, and he's bigger than any of us can even comprehend. Second failure, Space Dog. I had a great idea of starting a hot dog stand and taking it around to music festivals. What do people bring when they're going camping? If they're only going to bring one food, the easiest food to make when you're camping, what are they going to bring? Hot dogs! Oh my God, I'm not smart at all. The entire time, it would just be people coming up, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'd love to eat something that's not a hot dog. What do you have? And I'm like, we got hot dogs. So that was a lesson, just in to not be stupid. But a bigger lesson I had at the end of that summer is I lost money the entire summer. But it was, oh, that's me back when a different life a long ago. And these are all my best friends. So at the end of summer, I took a look at it and I saw, all right, my hot dog business, I made negative $300. But then I looked at it, and I had an amazing summer with my best friends, and we were at music festivals, and we were eating hot dogs every day and listening to music and just having such a trip. And I realized that was not a failure, actually. And I looked at that very clearly as being a success. And it made me realize that you never know the final result. And probably it's going to be a failure. Like, what did you say? 99% of businesses fail. So if you think about that, you have a 99% chance of not success. And so you want to enjoy yourself doing it. Obviously, you want to learn a lesson so next time you can do better and whatnot. But in the end, will you ever really find that success? Maybe you'll just get it and lose it and get it and lose it and try again and go out and on it. If you are with people you love, if you're enjoying every day, if you're actually doing things in the way that you want, that's not a failure. Oh, this was too sad. entire 5 years of my career in VR was an entire failure. I like went hungry, and like I went literally hungry because I was always too proud. I could never ask for money or for food. But again, you mentioned don't give up. And that was a key thing. I failed for 5 years. I didn't make money, and girlfriends dumped me, and people mocked me, and I was a total loser. But because I endured that failure for 5 years, then I got all the opportunity I have now. So much of it's not because I'm smart. It's just because I've been brute forcing it and going at it and enduring failure when everybody else who was smarter than me was like, eeh. They took Ken's advice and they left the industry because they knew they weren't going to make money quickly. But I endured it, and that gave me all of my opportunity. Product failure. We built a product and we tried to get it to market, but we couldn't because we were a tiny startup. And I had dreams of this camera revolutionizing the entire industry, and we sold maybe 20 of them. That maybe is a failure, but that was one stepping stone into our current camera, the FM Duo. I don't even know if I introduced myself. My company makes VR cameras, video cameras to film VR. And so that failure of a camera took us to a huge success of a camera. And so yes, maybe it was a failure, but it was a step. It's like if you look in any research lab, it's filled with parts everywhere. And they try, okay, and it doesn't work. It's back to that AI concept. You try once and it doesn't work, and then you try again, and you try again. And so we tried that product and it didn't work, and then we were able to reach this product. And then because we could do that, and because again, it's the same as me, my partner as well has been in the industry for 10 years, researching and developing and working. And we endured so much rejection and so much failure. I've had probably 1,000 meetings where I'm so excited, where I met with Meta, I met with ByteDance, I met with Huawei, with Tencent, with Accenture. Of the top, like the Fortune 100, I've probably met with half of them. And every time I'm so excited that this is going to be the chance, and I fail again. Maybe my plan failed, or my concept failed, or who knows? But it failed again and again and again and again and again. But I just keep going. It's like that brute force, and I go, and then now we work with Huawei, we work with Tencent, we work with ByteDance. And it's like, I could have given up and like had a grudge on my like shoulders. Like ByteDance, like I came to you with BTS and you said no, it's like I'm never giving you another project. But no, it's like, all right, you didn't like that one? And it's like, I'm back, here's another. And they're like, slam it down. I'm like, all right. And I just keep hitting them. And eventually, you get one through. Another failure, or specific failure, like obviously hard, cold, stone failure. This is an example of a huge success behind me. And I have to keep a couple of them in here because if I just talk about my failures, you guys are all going to think I'm a loser. So for me to meet Premier Li Keqiang and to show him VR, the week before he came, the premier of Zhejiang, he came first to like check out the office and like make sure I wasn't going to say anything weird or do anything weird. And when he came to do the tour, I'm standing outside and I'm like so ready. I got like my like total plan. I'm going to talk about how wonderful and beautiful Hangzhou is and how happy I am here. And he walked up to me and I blanked. I was just like this. And the guides beside him, the guides are like, and this is Nick Mitchell from Shigu FXG. And I was like, and they kept repeating it until finally the premier, he consoled me. He was like, patted me on the shoulder and he's like, it's okay, Nick. It's okay. It's okay. And I did that to an extremely important person. I totally messed it up. My Chinese, I probably get 1 in 5 words wrong when I speak Chinese. When I started speaking Chinese, it was 5 in 5 words wrong. And that's why so many people don't learn languages, because it's so hard. Learning a language is like a painful exercise in failure, where everything you say is probably wrong. But once you say it, then you open yourself to an opportunity to be corrected so that you can know what's right. And I think that's why people in this country have such a hard time learning English, because they don't want that failure, and they don't want that kind of the shame or the struggle of it. And that's been my success, is that I'm shameless. I'll take it. I'll fail 1,000 times to get through it. Last time, let's see, maybe this is a failure, maybe this is not a failure. Does anybody know what this is? Yeah?
This is QR code.
It's a QR code. Can you scan it? Oh, it works. Yes. It's so funny. I was working on this like late into the night last night, and I was like, oh, it doesn't work. And I was like, that's perfect. It's the perfect example of failing. I'm going to take it out and fail in front of everybody on stage. But it works. So I'm sorry that you guys didn't get to see me live fail. Though please, everybody, can you scan this QR code? That's for our company account. You can scan. I'm going to fail on one of these. So please scan every one of them. And definitely there will be a failure in there, I promise. Did it work? Oh, the first one didn't work. Oh, the first one didn't work. It half work. Okay, half fail. I'll take a half failure. This one works excellent. You guys can bookmark that. That's our company website. Another one. Look how beautiful this is. It's an anime city. It works? Nice. All right. I have a question. How do you think I made these? By failing. Can you guys see here? This is the bar. This folder renews every single day. It automatically saves to its own folder. So in order to get these 5 images that I have shown you guys today, I literally generated thousands and thousands of images sitting there with my phone, scanning them, and they didn't scan. And I failed and failed and failed and failed, and now here I am today showing off and impressing you guys. And how did I do it? Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
I think we open for 3 questions about failures. Who will start first?
Hey.
Are you going to go back?
No, I'm very thirsty.
Thank you for the presentation. It was awesome. I just have a question. You mentioned how machines...
That wasn't my water. I'm so sorry. Another fail. I'll keep trying. Eventually, I'm going to get to my own water. You see that? Oh, second time the charm. That's good for me. I'm usually 100th time the charm. Please, sorry.
You mentioned how machines actually learn, like, where's the point of time where they keep doing it but no progress. Do you think there's a point where, if, for example, we are doing something and we're not going anywhere, there's a sense to stop and change the direction? And did you have this moment in your life when you were like, I'm not going to do it anymore and just go somewhere else?
Yeah, all the time. And I think for me, it hasn't been as much of a specific thing, but a specific way, or a specific mentality. For example, with management, there have been so many things in the company that I've been trying, and it's I push this idea, and I push that idea, and I push that idea, and the company doesn't improve. And it's like that. It's convergence. And then I kind of take a step back, and I realize it's not because my ideas or my concepts are bad. It's because of the whole thing itself. That I'm putting these ideas and pushing them on people, whereas I need to find another complete way of looking at it, of involving the other people and kind of totally looking at it from another perspective. So yeah, it happens all the time, and I think you just need to be super aware when you really feel frustrated. And that's also the thing, because it's always never quit, don't give up. But then it's well, what if you're just doing the wrong thing? But I really think it's very rarely the wrong thing, and it's generally the wrong way. And I probably smart people do the right thing, but I feel for people who aren't that smart, you just need to do a thing. And you need to go deep and hard enough into it, and you'll likely be successful. And if you always are like, oh, maybe that's the wrong thing, I gotta find the right thing, and you just keep jumping around, unless you like totally get it and you're a genius, and you're probably just gonna always be at step one. Thanks.
Okay, next question. I see. Can you pass it? Can you guys pass it?
Hello, Nick. Thank you for your inspiring presentation. I'm a designer and I'm also an AIGC creator. So my question for you is, first of all, like we all know AR and VR is like a future promising industry, which means it's not very profitable now. And have you ever doubted like your choice into this market? This is the first question. And
Yeah.
the second one
Okay.
is, okay. Yeah, the second one is like, do you see the combination of AI and AR, VR? Because AI is more like a tool and AR, VR is more like a media which you see contents. So do you see the combination of it in the future?
I'm going to answer your questions backwards. Yes, AI is going to combine with everything. It's like the internet. It's just a tool that will be involved in anything that you do. And to the first question, did I ever doubt my choice? No, never. I'm a pessimist of the short term, which I think is very important for like keeping it something, because you can't like be like, it's going to happen next month or next year. I never expected it to be easy, but I always believed in my opinion of the future. Like everyone in this room has seen cell phones develop, correct? You've seen cell phones go from not existing to being like a briefcase or having to be attached to your car. That I'm sure none of you owned a cell phone earlier in your lives. And now I would be confident to say every single one of you has one. And so when I saw VR, I didn't see like this clunky headset with a big wire and terrible content. I saw like the development of technology, and I knew eventually it's going to go to something like a cell phone. And it'll have the power of a computer, and it'll be sleek and sexy and have amazing content. And I thought, if that's the case, and it's VR, you're in a total other dimension and it's amazing, 100% the day will come when it will be successful. And that was 10 years ago when I made that prediction. And it hasn't came true, but it's partially came true. And it's so much better, and it's happened as I expected. And maybe it's another 3 years, maybe it's another 10 years, but guaranteed XR is going to replace your phones and computers and TVs, and everything is the next computing device. And because I believe in that, that means that even though Ken is right that you shouldn't be in VR if you're a smart person and you want to make money in the relatively near term, eventually it will happen. And if I can continue just like trucking it out in here, when that day eventually comes, I'm set. So.
I'm running.
Thank you for the presentation, Nick. I want to understand your definition of brute force. Like a lot of us would learn to pivot when something is not working, and maybe not completely change, but make certain adjustments so you could attain the success you want. And you're saying, like the example you just made, VR, you're going to stay on it until it works. 5 years, 10 years, I'll be on it. Is your definition of brute force never to pivot at all, but to keep going at it?
I think it's a combination. So it's like in the past 10 years of doing VR, I've pivoted like countless times. Like I kind of saw something that was an opportunity, and I was like, if I can make that my lane, if I can be like the guy who knows VR, like that's the reason why I'm here tonight. That's the reason why ByteDance or Huawei works with me. It's because in that tiny specific lane of an industry that's not even an industry, I'm like an expert in it. And so I realized that that was my opportunity and I was going to go into it. But specifically in which way, I pivot like 2 times a day. Like on my way to the office, it takes me a long time to get there. And it's like from early, my first VR business was a community. I started a VR community, and then when Oculus was sold to Facebook, Facebook bought my community. And then I kept doing, I moved on, I tried to make games, but nobody wanted to buy my games. And then somebody offered me like 400,000 RMB to make a video. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a VR filmmaker. And then that was a step in that direction. And the guy I worked with on making those films is like a genius at VR videos. And then I realized, okay, I'm going to pivot actually, and my gaming company's gone, and the two of us, our companies, we merged. And so it's like that was a pivot. And I pivot, Apple just launched their VR headset. And then we did another huge pivot. Like that day we were watching the press conference and we were just like taking pivot notes. Like we finished that press conference and me and my partners like did like a solid 40-degree turn in that direction. And so it's like that combination of you want to be dedicated and you don't want to just give up and just when it's hard, but also you need to be open to take every opportunity and pivot when it comes. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody. And thank you, Aaron. Thank you for this breakfast.
Stickers.